Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread, the Schooner Pod's weekly college football pick'em podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the Captain Boaton Blake. And look, guys, another round of college football playoff rankings got announced. Jameson and I were not tuning in, so I actually have no idea what's going on. But Blake, can you tell the people what's going on?
This is the most insane ranking I have ever seen. I am a huge proponent of the Mountain West. My roommate Zach gave me all the mini helmets that I have lining my desk. I'm a big proponent of the Mountain West as a G5 league. But you are telling me that the Mountain West champion is better than whoever could possibly be the Big 12 champion and exclude the Shield out of the playoff. What are we doing here? We expanded a field to get to 12, and you are saying the Big 12, the most competitive league in college football, one of the deepest leagues in college football, one that on a weekly basis is giving bangers and bangers and bangers of games, do not even deserve to be near this process. This is absolutely outrageous. What kind of crack is this committee on that they are saying not a single Big 12 team is not cracking the top 12? I'm not saying that the SEC shouldn't get any. Like, that's been the hoopla this week. Oh, the SEC, how many should they get? I'm not saying the SEC shouldn't get 3, 4, even potentially 5 teams into it. I'm saying the Big 12 should at least get one, at least get the respect that it deserves as a Power 4 conference, and you are just going to leave them out. A BYU team, I know they lost to Kansas, but they have one of the best wins compared to some of these one-loss teams versus an SMU team that it makes no sense why they're not in the playoffs. How is Miami? They lose a conference game and stay in, and SMU's only loss is a BYU team when they were struggling to find a starting quarterback, and they are still not in. This system makes no sense. It is dumb. It is stupid. I don't care. Like, what have we done? What have we done here where BYU is sitting at number 12 and not getting a first-round bye? I know Boise State, they are deserving to be in the playoff. They had a fantastic game versus Oregon. An Oregon team I think is much more improved, but a fantastic loss. But at some point, they're not playing anybody they beat UNLV. That is their other best win. That is it for Boise State. They have, and I know BYU has not played many of the contenders in the Big 12. I know that, but they beat SMU, a SMU team that is punching, like, should be in the playoffs, which should matter. It's so exhausting, the system between the Big 12 disrespect, where you're putting them not even as an automatic qualifier, you're giving them the lonely little 12 spot, and then the respect that a Texas, a Miami, a Notre Dame, a Penn State, Indiana has at least won all their games, but come on, what is the system led to where people don't have any quality wins and they're still getting benefited like no other than BYU? They have one of the most quality wins, and they're just getting yeeted to the back. That if another bad week, if we lose another one, we're not getting it. If Colorado doesn't win, we're not getting it. This is insane. Ty, go ahead.
Blake, I've got a question for you. This is going to get you even more riled up. You know who's at number 6 right now? Notre Dame. You know who they're playing this week? Army. Army coming off a bye week, shot up 5 slots. And it's not 5 people in front of them lost. They just shot up 5 slots out of nowhere, coming off a bye week just in time to play Notre Dame.
It really is. I get mad at the Big 12 disrespect, but I also get mad at whatever system, like within conferences, and then I guess with the case of being an independent with Notre Dame, that some of these big brands, the formula is here for you. Schedule nobody, beat nobody, you're gonna get in. Notre Dame had a loss to Northern Illinois. That should negate anything at home. And they hadn't played their best games on their schedule was Louisville, who's been losing like crazy, and it's been Florida State, who's absolutely terrible. So they've kind of been able to shoehorn this Army team, which is a great story, but Army has played absolutely nobody. Like, at least some of these teams at the top have played P5 opponents. They're just playing like the G5 fodder at the bottom, still getting the benefit of the doubt, gonna bring Notre Dame up whenever they get a ranked win. It's just insane. Like I thought the 12-team playoff would at least, you had to eliminate the bias of sorts because the field's so big. No, the bias is stronger. The bias is so much stronger. I bet they would have had that undefeated TCU team back in 22, 23. They would have had them back at like the 13 seed. Like that's kind of how like this decision making of this committee is doing. It makes no sense.
I mean, I think it's frustrating. Like wins and losses do matter, of course, but I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. I can look at what BYU's done and what Notre Dame's done, which I get. Notre Dame has the edge on Texas with the Texas A&M win, whatever. But I don't see those resumes as particularly like different. You know,
They're very similar.
I think BYU has a really, really good road win and a home loss that is, I mean, not ideal, but this Kansas team's frisky. We'll talk about them. Like they took down Iowa State, took down BYU, have a shot to take down
Colorado,
Coach Prime Colorado. I don't know. I don't see it. It's insulting to the Shield. It's insulting to the Big 12. But the conference has been a bit of a disaster. And I think in a way you have to have a bit of a hierarchy. Like I get that anything can happen, but to some degree, when your Kansas States of the world are falling apart, Oklahoma State is a nothing burger. You don't have that you don't have an ecosystem. The ecosystem is broken in the Big 12 right now. That being said, you shouldn't. BYU significantly more tested. I would rather have BYU in there.
BYU, even Colorado, like if you want to go with the ratings bump, Colorado is right there for the taking. Like last year, they would have been number 2 in the polls for like no apparent reason, just because Coach Prime's the team, and I don't get where like this lack of bias is now not coming into play.
The whole thing's just a mess. I mean, especially when you have like, and again, it's Joey Galloway, so whatever. But Joey Galloway saying, "Oh, Indiana should sit Curtis Rourke against Ohio State because if he gets hurt, they'll leave out Indiana if they lose to Ohio State." So like, we don't want to get Florida State in. I'm like, what are we doing?
It is sad. Like I didn't know when the right time to bring this up, but it has to be said. It's like when you're on the premier pregame program as game day, and Desmond Howard is sitting there saying, "Why is K-State, Arizona State on our picking slate?" As those are 2 potential teams that could end up in the conference championship. This is insane bias that I've never seen before from
Desmond's
a media
such a
partner.
Ball not knower though. He put
I
Pittsburgh
know,
in his
but
playoff a couple years ago.
But it keeps happening. And then we got Heather Dinich or whatever her name is. She's an Indiana grad, and she's been the one leading the charge to keep them out of the playoff. I don't get what they give them at ESPN, but they just want to they want everybody, not the SEC, in there. And I'm not saying the SEC shouldn't get the most slots. They should, but that doesn't mean you go because you favor the SEC that we start making the most irrational decisions compared to other brands. And it's just it comes down to it. It's not maybe SEC bias. It's big brands. It's big brands.
Right. Yeah. And this is kind of going to segue us into our picks, which we probably need to get into here. But just looking at the schedules, I almost feel like and there is a depth thing there. But when I look at these playoff rankings, the number one thing I see is everyone in the Big Ten that's in these rankings is already in. Like there's no scenario where I can see Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, and Penn State not being in the playoffs at the end, just looking at their schedules. Like Ohio State plays Indiana. Indiana loses that one. I don't think that eliminates them. Ohio State's probably going to play Oregon again, I suppose, in the Big Ten championship. That's not going to eliminate either of them because why would it? It was a good game before. Oregon probably drops it, and then, you have mutually, win-loss with Ohio State. Penn State doesn't play anyone, but I don't think they have a path to the Big Ten championship at this point because of Oregon. So it's just all of those teams, those 4 teams are basically a lock right now. Like the SEC, I think there's at least still some depth there where 5 teams is probably not going to occur. But gosh, I don't know. The Big Ten maybe has mastered scheduling here because these teams, someone was breaking it down, but like the 4 Big Ten teams that are in the playoff, I think they have 2 top 25 wins, like total, like all 4 of them combined. And one is Oregon beating Ohio State, and then Ohio State has one against someone.
Penn State.
Penn State. Okay, yeah. So
this-
again, and then like the SEC, like it seems
then
like all the
gives
top
the
teams are
other-
at least playing each other.
They're just
Like,
gifting each
Tennessee's
other the
playing-
quality wins and losses across the like.
Yeah, but
across
they've
the
mastered
aisle.
only getting one. Like the SEC
Yep.
is like they're almost doing a circle of sucks situation at this point with like all of these teams being 2 lost teams.
Right.
Except
Yeah.
for Texas. Texas is just sitting there with like, pray to God if you hate Texas that A&M beats them, because if I do not, I will quit this sport if a 2-loss Texas that lost to A&M gets in this playoffs.
I think they do.
Absolutely nothing to me if you play nobody and you are still able to get in.
It's I think the scheduling is the biggest element in college football, and I think that's one of the more broken parts of the sport right now.
It is.
You can really see who has had a good schedule and who hasn't. And yeah,
it's the super conference, like the super conferences. When you get up to 16 teams, it's like, not to carry water for Georgia, but Georgia has played a lot harder of an SEC schedule than Texas by far. I know they played each other, but besides that, like they look night and day. The Big Ten, the Big Ten just found a way for all of them to be all ships passing in the night, besides when they have the one game that they can lose because it's a quality loss and they do it. It's just like none of the big, you need dynamic scheduling or something that some of these teams can actually hit each other.
Well,
this is insane.
Just imagine how bad the Big Ten would be if they didn't have Coach Sig at Indiana. You know, if this Indiana story never happened, imagine how bad that conference would be. That is the most top-heavy, just garbage. They just fill it with a bunch of garbage from big media markets and
they have
college.
2 legit teams. They have two
exactly.
legit teams. They have 2.
Exactly. Ohio State and Oregon are great, but
yeah.
Anyways, look, let's dive into the slate. We're 12 minutes in. We've not picked a game yet. Let's start out with 2 teams we have talked about. The Indiana Hoosiers, 10-0 overall, 8-2 against the spread, heading to the Horseshoe to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. It's a big top 5 matchup. Ohio State 9-1, 5-5 against the spread. Buckeyes favored by 13.5, which is really funny that you could have 2 versus 5 and a 13-point spread. But there you go. You can find this one big noon on Fox. Ty, you are in the lead, so you're going to kick us off, followed by Blake, myself, and then Jameson. We'll snake around.
Look, here is the deal. I'm so glad that I get to start on this one because it reminds me of a classic story that pretty much every sport fan knows. And that is, of course, the story of when a former assistant greenskeeper named Carl became the Masters champion. And he lined up to tee off. The crowd was roaring, and Carl smacked it, and everyone watched. The crowd held their breath, and it was in the hole. It was in the hole, and Carl became the Masters champion. But unfortunately, Carl didn't actually become the Masters champion. He was just whacking flowers with a golf club because he was insane. And that's what you are.
I had no idea where the hell this was going.
James has never seen Caddyshack, so he didn't get the reference yet.
James.
But I mean, I
what?
probably maybe could have worded it a little better, but
I knew where you're going with it. It was
this
great.
is a Caddyshack reference. This is a Bill Murray.
I was trying to figure out what pro golfer was named Carl.
Oh God.
Oh, boy.
No. But yeah, insane is what you are if you think Indiana's going to win this game, let alone cover the spread. It was a Cinderella story, just like Carl, but eventually the insanity ends, and you realize that you still are just an assistant greenskeeper within this conference. And regardless of what Dan Lanning in Oregon and Dylan Gabriel have done, Ohio State still very much runs this conference. So go ahead and give me Ohio State minus 13.5 in this one.
Well, if Indiana dies, at least they'll achieve total consciousness. So they have that going for them, which is nice.
Which is nice. No, but if an Indiana fan is listening, like I said, I'm not saying this spitefully, but it doesn't eliminate you from the playoff.
No.
Really, my anti-Big Ten rant was really around the unfortunate fact that Penn State's going to make it in and be like really highly ranked, which is crazy. But Indiana absolutely deserving. I think they dropped this one. But yeah, give me Ohio State.
Yeah, big hitter of the Llama. All right, Blake, who do you like?
Yeah, this one's a head over heart or heart over head, whichever way you want to go, because Indiana is the darling. They are in my heart. I love them so much. But then you have Ohio State, which has significantly better talent. Basically, that's, I guess, it. They have better talent. They don't have better coaching. I will say the better coach in this game is on Indiana sidelines, not on Ohio State sidelines. But you do have a little bit of a brain trust there with Ohio State. You got Chip Kelly running that offense. And I think Indiana, the story is they very admirable. They've done fantastic this season. And like, this is one that will go down in history. I just think Ohio State, they've been in the big games before. They have the big game talent. They have the coaching that has been there. And I just think it's too much. When you look at Indiana's schedule, you haven't. I'm trying to find the best offense they've played, and it's maybe like Washington. It's bad. It's bad. They haven't played a legit offense, and we saw versus their last outing with Michigan, which isn't a legit offense. Good teams can keep it close with Indiana. Ohio State is not just a good team, they're a great team. So I'm going to take the Buckeyes minus 13.5.
Yeah, you're right. This is a very much a head over heart situation. But for me, I've been riding with Indiana this entire season. It's gone pretty well for me. And I'm not going to turn my back on them now. I think this is a very tough situation. I don't think they're going to win the ball game. But after a couple of weeks of being told they're awful, they're not good enough, they don't belong, I don't know. I think they're going to scrap enough to stay in this game, make it a fight. Curtis Rourke, former Ohio Bobcat, playing in the shoe. Very interesting stuff there. Do not sit him for sure. I don't know. I think this Indiana team has guts to keep this within 13.5. I think the line is a little high. I get the talent at Ohio State. I really do. But they haven't really been tested much this season outside of that Oregon game. So I think Indiana does enough to scrap, keep it close, and make it out with a cover. Probably not the win, although that would be pretty great. So I'm going to go with the Hoosiers plus 13.5.
Woo! Bobby picking Hoosiers. I'm picking Ohio State minus 13.5. Hey, I'm going to go with what I believe, and I was going to pick Ohio State. Feels good. I think that this could be a game where the fourth quarter happens similar to the vibes of the Georgia-Tennessee game, to where it just slowly chips away. Ohio State touchdown in the fourth quarter, covers by 14.
All right. Hey, I'm fine to be an island boy with the Hoosiers there. Moving on to our next game. It's a old classic rivalry. It's the Army Knights, 9-0 overall, 8-1 against the spread. Taking on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who are 9-1 overall, 8-2 against the spread. This one going down at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Irish favored by 14.5 here. You can find this one 6 p.m. Central on NBC. For some reason, it says NBA on my. I typed that in wrong. It is not on NBA Network, people. Jameson, who do you like?
Muck it up. Come on, Army. I'm going to go Army plus 14.5. And you're going to say, Jameson, why are you doing this? I'll tell you later.
If you're zigging, we're riding together on this.
Damn it.
I also like Army plus 14.5.
Coward.
Look, no. I get it. I feel like we saw a similar situation where our Notre Dame and Navy played, and Notre Dame beat the doors off of them. But that Navy team, I don't think is very good. You saw what happened with them against Tulane last week. They
team's good.
Yeah, I think this Army team's pretty good. They if you look at these massive drives they go on, these just grind you down. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like they can muck this up enough to cover 14.5. And
Notre Dame's been looking pretty damn good, though. I thought, Bobby, that you were totally going to not pick the Academy team because they burned you in the past versus Notre Dame?
Yes, they have. They have. But I think Army can do enough to buck it up. This line's
Okay.
actually already gone down from 16.5 earlier today. So the money is shifting towards Army. So,
Look at Ty.
So,
I
yeah,
know what Ty's picking.
yeah, we're going with the Black Knights here.
Yeah, the smart viewers would say, Blake, you're behind Ty by 5-6 picks. You got to start zigging while he zags in order to get it. But like the thing Ty and I know is we're both ball knowers here. I'm not going to spoil Ty's pick here, but there's no way I am choosing Army in this. This is the dumbest pick from y'all two. I know you're trying to do something weird. You're trying.
I'm trying, Blake.
I know Jameson has to. Jameson is like a bad week away from being like 30 wins off of 500. Like it is bad. But if the best win of Army season, it's hard. It's a tough debate. But I give it to North Texas.
Yeah, it's 14-3 against North Texas.
That is
Those
their
Temple
best.
Owls have been playing pretty good recently, Blake.
They fired their coach. Like, and their other game, like that's been feisty recently, has been Rice, but Rice also fired their coach, and they beat ECU, who fired their coach. Like, or did they beat ECU? No. Yes, they did. Yes, they've literally beaten.
Yeah, that was
teams that have
previously
fired-
their best win.
They've beaten 3 teams that have fired their coach. Army's not good. They are a good triple option team, but the hate that Navy is getting for playing like a slightly better competition and losing versus Army just playing like the deadbeats of like FBS football is insane. I'm gonna go with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish here. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think this one's gonna be a murder.
By the way, Blake, every single team that has an owl as their mascot has fired their coach this year.
That is insane.
Every
I love
owl.
that.
Who?
Yeah,
We did.
I almost got you. I
So
almost
got
got you.
FAU, Temple, and Rice, and then
I think there was one
Kennesaw.
more.
Wait, so Tom Herman got
Kennesaw.
fired? I didn't.
Yeah,
I
Herman got
did
fired.
not see that. Oh dang!
I think that was yesterday.
Yeah.
I almost sent to the group like saying I wish he would come be OU's coach.
if you
Yeah,
he
look
was
up
better. He
owl
was better at
mascots
Texas.
on Google, I have found a website called owlthingsconsidered.org. And there is an article written by one of their writers of why are there no owl mascots in big league sports. As y'all continue to analyze this game, I'll be reading this article.
Thank you for the update, Jameson. Blake, I could not have said it any better myself. I'm not going to sit here and do the math, but we're 14 weeks into. What week are we on? 13, 14?
13.
We're 13 weeks into the season, and Army's opponents have a combined like 20 to 25 wins. Just quick math in my head. I'm not 100%.
That is generous. I would say
but like these teams are not good. They're not good. Legitimately the best team that they have beaten was 14-3 against North Texas. And yes, you can say like, oh, Army's stringing together these massive drives, like they're really possessing the ball and everything else. Counterpoint, it's taking them like 15 minutes to get the ball down the field against 2-8 FAU, who fired their coach. Or like everyone on, like they legitimately, like this is not a bit, right? Like a Navy, inexcusable loss the other day, right? Like the Notre Dame game, excusable, trying to remove my bias from this. Army has legitimately, this is probably the first time in like on this pod that you can really, really, really say this and mean it, has not played nobody. They ain't played nobody. And it's gonna be like the Navy game, I think, for Notre Dame. I understand, oh, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois or whoever, like blah, blah, blah. I think this Army team has reached a point where they probably legitimately think they're going to be competitive in this one. And they just straight up do not know what they're about to face. Like they have not played anyone like this at all this season. Like this is going to be a big wake-up call. I think Notre Dame gets this one big. I don't think they completely run away. We're too late in the season for them to like really blow it up. But Notre Dame winning by like 21 would not surprise me at all. So I understand that the gamblers, like there's some value and and everything else. Actually, very impressive that both these teams are 8 wins. Army 8-1 against the spread. Notre Dame 8-2 against the spread. I'm not sure if that's right, but that's actually really impressive. But yeah, I think Notre Dame 14.5 is a no-brainer. If this opened at like 16.5, I think, and I thought that was a no-brainer. I think Notre Dame is an absolute no-brainer on this one. I would like to see Army go undefeated until they lose to Navy for sure, but that's just not. I can't think of a way realistic, because I've seen a few of these games and some of these drives. Like I just don't. Yeah, Army's look very impressive, but it's been they've beaten teams that they're supposed to beat. Like OU would probably also be 9-0 against this schedule. So imagine if OU was 9-0 going into this Notre Dame game.
Yeah,
that's a bad analogy.
No, that's a great analogy.
Give me Notre Dame.
Just absolutely would get exposed against their first legit competition. I like that.
All right, let's move on to our next game.
Y'all don't want an update on the All Things Considered blog?
Jameson, do you have an update?
No, I don't. Just carry on.
No, okay. You didn't get any good information in your talents?
No, there's actually great stuff, but I just want you to check it out.
Are they just ranking mascots in this bad boy?
It's just trashing every other mascot, especially ones that are birds that are not birds of prey.
Because they're like, none of these birds hunt.
Like a cardinal?
Yes, exactly. It's a great blog. You should check them out. They haven't posted anything for 5. What's the date today? 7 years?
Oh, wow. I have free ads for All Things Considered, Jameson.
I imagine your Google algorithm, Jameson, just being tailored to the most niche
algorithm.
Like you can't find you can't find anything on Google that's like 7 years old anymore. Even if you search like something from 2017, they'll give you 2 pages of articles that are from yesterday in order to see it. So you probably have a weirdly tailored algorithm for sure.
Well, this conversation is quite a hoot, but we'll move on to our.
Oh God! Get him off! Get him off! Boot him!
It's the Cincinnati Bearcats, 5-5 overall, and against the spread. Heading to Manhattan to take on the K-State Wildcats, 7-3 after another disappointing loss, 3-7 against the spread. K-State favored by 8.5. Find this one 7 p.m. Central on ESPN2. Ty, who do you like?
I don't like either of these teams. I say that like once a pot when you give me this intro. But just for the record, let the record reflect. I do not like either of these teams. I do not like Cincinnati. We will not dive into all the talking points there. We do not have time. Kansas State, it's more of an apathy, really. But go ahead and give me Kansas State minus 8.5. I think they still have that little short dude. Maybe the little short dude will help.
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is on the Cowboys.
It's been 2 years.
The uniforms. The
Cowboys, your favorite NFL team.
Let me see. Let me look up. I actually know that he is on the Cowboys. I was talking about him the other day. But they do have a locket coming up soon. I don't think that's a factor this year, but that is incoming. But go ahead and give me Kansas State minus 8.5. You know what? That's a little tasty treat. Maybe look at that K-State over win total going into next season, because I'm pretty sure they got to lock it, and the media might be sleeping on that.
Blake?
Yeah, this is a difficult one for me. It's 2 teams that's sliding. Cincinnati obviously overperforming their expectations at the beginning of the season. Kansas State underperforming. I think I gotta go with Cincinnati here. The only angle that I can find with this one, like this one's stinky. Like I could easily see Cincinnati keeping it close. I could easily see Kansas State just kind of messing around and beating them by like 4 touchdowns because they have that talent. But Cincinnati has been a good Big 12 team, like very competitive. And you're telling me there's a potential they have K-State and TCU to end the season. That's a little bit of a tough shake that if you don't win it here, like I think they'll be favored against TCU, but not by much, and like could lose that game. That's a little shaky. So I feel like they have to be gunning for bowl eligibility right now. I think I'm going to get them at a spot with K-State obviously probably being the better of the teams that they play. But yeah, the 8.5 just feels like a little too much for a K-State team that's sliding.
Yeah, I'm pretty out on this K-State team. Or sorry, Cincinnati team overall. K-State obviously has been sliding. I'm really disappointed in them. Genuinely disappointed in their performance this season. But that being said, at home, I feel like what happened last week was more about Arizona State than anything. Chris Kleiman was really emotional in the press conference after the game, talked about, his seniors, stuff like that. This is their last game at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I just kind of think K-State pulls it together and gets a win against an inferior team. I think it's a solid get back spot for the Wildcats. Not thrilled with 8.5 or anything, but I think it's a spot where they bounce back. I don't think they'll slip to 3 straight, but we'll see.
Good pick, Bobby. We said this last week with Kansas State. Oh, they're at home. They should get right at home. They scored 0 points in the first half. Like, is that not a red flag? And then you tell me they're 8.5-point favorites. Like, that's too many points. I understand Kansas State could get right, but Cincinnati has been able to make things a little bit dirty. I understand Sorsby didn't even throw for 100 yards last game, but still, he can run the ball. He can do some stuff for the Bearcats. I don't think 8.5 is a good number for this K-State team, what they showed last week at home.
That's fair. All right, moving on to our next game. We've got the Texas A&M Aggies, 8-2 overall, 3-7 against the spread. That's kind of a surprising number. They're heading on to the Plains to take on the Auburn Tigers, who are 4-6, 5-5 against the spread. Auburn just not a good season for Hugh Freeze and the boys. A&M, though, only a 2.5-point favorite on the road. You can find this one 7:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. Jameson?
When it looks weird, you pick it. This is a Texas A&M look-ahead game, and Texas is on the docket. They're thinking about that game through and through. They're thinking, we can just get past Auburn. We'll go and play Texas. And if we can win that one, we're right in front in the SEC. Trap game. Auburn plus 2.5 here. Cover the spread. Upset Texas A&M at home.
In a rant about not looking ahead to Texas, the head coach in a rant about.
Can I just say real quick, listeners, if you're wondering why Jameson is like 30-70 this week or this season on the weekend spread, just reference that pick right there.
So I will say this: during a rant about how they're not looking ahead to Texas, Mike Elko accidentally said, we're focused all of our energy this week on Texas instead of saying Auburn. Look, it's going to be hard not to look ahead to that. And like Jameson said, this looks exactly like that BYU Kansas game last week. 2.5. I'm liable to pick it. I think Auburn finds a way to win.
Oh, you are such a coward,
I'm not kidding
Bobby.
you. I was legitimately going to pick Auburn here. I'm so sorry.
I gotta stop.
I swear to God, I'm not doing this on purpose.
Here. I gotta stop playing mind games. I want Notre Dame back. I want Texas A&M back. Oh, whatever.
Too late. You can't do that, Jameson.
Look at these guys, Ty, as they're competing to not be at the bottom. They are choosing some of the dumbest picks. No demand.
I am choosing the opposite of what I think the pick should be.
I know what
Bobby
you're doing,
follows me. I'm sorry.
Bobby joins you in the race to the bottom, just so misery has company, or misery loves company, I guess. But yeah, this one's a pretty easy one for me. I was not buying into the OU fan propaganda that a win on the road at Auburn is a good win. This Auburn team is not good. They are not good at all. Not a single redeeming quality to them whatsoever. Hugh Freeze has really failed in trying to rebuild this program, which makes me very happy. Peyton Thorne is just not a good quarterback. And then I look at Texas A&M, a team that's well coached. I'm not saying they have elite offensive talent, but definitely have game plans there with Colin Klein that get them in games that can beat opponents. This one, I don't think look ahead. I think they could still look ahead and the defense of A&M just stifles Auburn. We learned what even a defense with a pulse can do at Auburn with OU. Think same here could happen with A&M. There's just so many ways to win this game. Give me A&M.
Good pick, Blake.
This is
this is one of the ones where I was like, oh, there's like some sort of injuries, or A&M has announced that they're sitting all of their starters for Texas. Yeah, even the Texas look ahead, I'm not able mentally to wrap my mind around. God, that was a line right there. Mentally able to wrap my mind around. I'm not able to wrap my mind around A&M only being 2.5 point favorites against this Auburn team. I don't know. It's weird, but it's one of those. It's got to be reverse psychology. There's no way. There's no way anyone is of their right mind and they're picking Auburn here. Cam Newton returning in his prime could not save this Auburn team. Go ahead and give me A&M minus 2.5. Yeah, there's look ahead potential, but I think that's like, oh, A&M's up by like 21, and then they have a stupid play and then only win by 14 or something like that. So yeah, the Aggies easy in this one for me.
Good pick, Ty.
Fair enough. I will say they haven't been very good away from Kyle Field. I mean, not
They've not.
bad, but like.
Yeah, that's true. The counterpoint, Auburn hasn't been very good
ever.
Ball. Yeah.
on the football
Hey,
field.
fair point. Moving on to our next game, we've got the Colorado Buffaloes 8-2 overall and against the spread, heading to Arrowhead to take on the Kansas Jayhawks, who are 4-6 overall and against the spread on a 2-game, maybe more than 2 games. I can't remember, but they're on a heater. They've been they're living out that meme of the Grim Reaper knocking at everyone's door, and the Buffaloes look like they might be up next. Colorado favored by 2.5 here on the road. 2:30 p.m. Central on Fox. Ty, what do you think?
Ooh, I need to, you know what? I need to do a little check here. I got to double check something. Let's see. Arrowhead. Okay. Arrowhead. All right. So it looks like, and this is wild, Shedeur Sanders is going to be the 4th best quarterback to play in Arrowhead this season. Behind, of course, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and who was it? I forgot. The blonde guy who played at LSU. This is not a bit. I've just forgotten his name.
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Yes. So you have Lamar Jackson.
I love it. This is not
Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Joe Burrow, and then Shedeur Sanders. 4 best quarterbacks to play a football game in Arrowhead this season. Maybe Taylor Swift. We haven't seen how she can throw a ball.
Get him off.
Very,
this podcast.
very, very exciting to see. See what I did there, though? I jabbed at Mahomes, but then we made it pro Taylor Swift, so they're not going to know what to do. Because if you attack me, you're anti-Swift. But it's
Ty, you would find a way to get the Swifties after us somehow.
No, I'm the most pro Swift person on this podcast. We've been over this
I'm also pro Taylor Swift. She's great.
I am anti Taylor Swift. I'll raise my hand.
Okay.
I'm about mid.
There goes the podcast. There goes
Oh boy.
So trend towards pro. If it's one anti, one mid, 2 pros.
Jameson is on anti-Taylor Island. He's an
I'll
island
take it.
boy. He's an island boy against Taylor Swift.
Blake is pro. Yeah.
Blake's got to pick a side.
No, I said, so I like Taylor Swift. I just hate the Swifties. So I guess that sends it more to
Okay.
I guess that sends it more to the anti, but
That was the icing on the cake. Yeah.
I don't know what would piss them off more, going against the Swifties or going against Taylor.
see, that's
Going
it puts
against
them-
Taylor.
it puts
Going
their brain
against
in a
Taylor.
pretzel.
They're loyal to their leader more than
Yeah.
anything else. They're
Yeah.
fanatical.
Yeah.
Fanatical for sure. Yeah, but for the record, Shake It Off and Blank Space, 2 of the top 3 songs of all time. Easy. With all that being said, go ahead and give me Colorado. It's the Big 12's only hope. As Blake mentioned, it's at this point, frankly, and it's not necessarily wrong. I don't disagree with this. I'm actually a big proponent of them doing this overtly, but your brand and your buy-in matters a lot to the committee. Whether they're going to say it straight up or not, it's very obvious that it does. And Colorado is the only team in the Big 12 this season that has that. So obviously in future seasons, people can create that because everyone loves the sort of magical Cinderella story, like TCU, not even pandering to Blake, but TCU had the national attention that season when they had that Cinderella season. But Colorado right now is the Big 12's hope. And I have no arguments for anyone that says Kansas might just straight up win this game. Like it's very, very plausible. This one I think is, it could be a toss up in my mind, but I got to ride with my beloved Buffs.
I see where Ty is coming from because it definitely is. It's what is not to love about the Buffs this year. Fantastic. I think you should be tanking for Shedeur. I know
He's
what
good, man.
he lacks, what he lacks in his dumb little press conference quips. I would rather have than like his actual talent is insane. It's like if his downside is he's sometimes a little bit critical of an offensive line that was actually bad and then has started to become better. Like in many ways, you can look like when he started criticizing them, they became good. Like I don't know if that's some like backwards leadership tactic, but Shedeur Sanders is you need to be tanking for him. Like he's not getting the love.
Blake is a Cowboys fan for the record.
Deion's already said he's going to steer his son towards someone, and who is a 3-win team who's looking really, really bad right now might continue to lose more and more games.
I would love it, but it would be the ultimate Cowboys move to put or draft a quarterback after you gave somebody a max contract deal that you couldn't get out of. And so you've hamstringed all.
Someone would take Dak. Someone stupid would take Dak.
Can we talk about the notion that there's a chance that Shedeur Sanders has more wins than the Cowboys in Cowboys Stadium this year if he wins the Big 12 title?
Oh yeah, like I think our only potential win at home is going to be the Giants. That's going to be that's hard. It is. Yeah, it's Tommy Cutlet. Like it's rubber meets road. Bad backup quarterbacks just trying to fire against one another to see who can have like a potential to get a good pick. But yeah, Shedeur's great, but I got to go with the Grim Reaper here. Kansas, I think people's perceptions about Kansas has been messed up by their record. Their record is bad, but they've been fighting in just about every game they've been in. It's like they're not getting blown out. They've actually been a pretty good team. It's just the wins aren't coming. Now they're coming. There's so many wins coming for Kansas, but I gotta choose Lance Leipold. Such a good coach. He's still so fantastic. So, yep. Roundabout way saying I think Kansas, they become bowl eligible. I think they beat Colorado, beat Baylor, just like go on this like crazy stretch and just completely destroy the Big 12's hopes of getting, I guess, a playoff team, a bye game, since we're now we're I guess like the 7th, 6th, 7th worst conference in the league. So yeah.
So so here's my thing. I really do like this streak that Kansas has been on, and against pretty much any other team, I probably would pick them here. Like I really like the vibes.
Oh, Bobby's doing some sick stuff, trying to
here's the thing.
fend off Jameson and try to gain against me. This is some nasty work.
Blake, after that 12-minute, soliloquy about how the Big 12's getting screwed, they're not letting anyone in. They wanted to let anyone in. They should look at Colorado. Hearing all of that, that's a great point. And you know what's going to happen? Old Brett Yormark in his nice little suit, he's going to make a call in. He's going to do whatever he can to get Shedeur and those Buffaloes across the line. They're not going to let Kansas take out another contender, because they can't have Boise State getting that spot. So with that fresh on the top of their mind, I like Colorado just in general, but I feel like we're going to see every single break go their way to find a way to win this one. So I'm going to go with the Buffs by 2.5. I think this is going to be a banger of a game. I genuinely think it's about a coin toss, but I think Colorado has been pretty focused. They've been a wagon this season. So going to go with the Buffs here.
I can't fade Bobby on this one. I really like Colorado in this team. I can't go against them. You would think that I'd just go opposite of Bobby this whole episode. I can't do it on this one. I really like Colorado. I doubted them so much at the beginning of the season and then in the middle of the season. They just continue to show out. They're just so damn good. And like Jalen Daniels has done some things for Kansas recently, but in all honesty, was he really that good looking versus BYU? BYU just kind of crumbled. So, I mean, I want to give Kansas their flowers and they deserve it. But at the same time, Colorado's been dominant recently, like absolutely dominant. And I think they can win this game by 2.5.
All right, there it is. Moving on to our next game. It's Vanderbilt Commodores, 6-4, 7-3 against the spread. Heading to Death Valley, take on LSU, who is 6-4. Jesus, a little dyslexia there today. They're 6-4, 3-7 against the spread. LSU is a 7.5 point favorite. You can find this one 6:45 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. Jameson, who do you like?
Yeah, after watching LSU last week, you'd be pretty darn concerned because there's a lot of red flags. You're seeing a 7.5 point spread versus Vanderbilt, who keeps things close. Like, you're saying, what the hell is going on here? But unfortunately, I'm going to pick LSU still. I think that is Diego Pavia okay? Because I saw him get dinged up a little bit. Anyone know in terms of injury status, Diego Pavia? I think he's fine. I don't see anything about injuries going through. So I think he should be good, right? Yeah, I don't
Blake's
see.
yapping away, but he's on mute.
He's
Mute.
fine.
Still on
Yapping
mute.
Yeah,
on
he
mute.
should be good to go.
He's good. Yeah, so this was a couple weeks ago, and it
Just
looks like he
dinged
hasn't had a
up.
problem. Yeah, so I'm gonna doubt Diego Pavia. I know this is a horrible thing to do, and LSU's not going in the right direction. Look at Ty laughing. I'm gonna
No,
doubt Diego Pavia. So give me
Say it.
LSU 7.5.
Say it then.
I'm doubting him. Give me
Call
LSU
him Diego Poverty.
7.
Oh.
What are you gonna do, Bobby?
Jameson, man. You know me too well. My old friend, you know me too well. Yeah, I'm
He's just gonna say
still
This
gonna
is
go.
nasty. This
He's
is
trying to
gross.
change his
no.
Bobby is trying to not get last while also trying to win at the same time. It's giving all the worst
Look at him.
strategy to
For the
do.
record, I protested all offseason that we should have punishment for last and second,
I agree.
which would put Bobby in a hilarious situation right now.
So, yeah, that is pretty funny. So, here's my thing. That hook is just so dirty because I have been kind of low on LSU this run. Everything seems like it's imploding. Brian Kelly is on the hot seat. Things are going to hell. And I just have this prevailing feeling that Diego Pavia is over. Like that this
No, he doesn't.
I really do. I feel like the South Carolina game was when the bubble burst. I have a fear, and I don't think they're gonna win.
You're gonna doubt Diego Pavia. You've said this before. You said I'm going to doubt Diego Pavia, and he bites you.
I'm gonna doubt Diego Pavia to
Oh
win the
my
game.
god!
But
Guys,
I'm not doubting
come
him to
on.
cover. I'm not doubting him to cover the spread. This is a 7-point little nip.
Oh yes,
Give
Bobby,
me Vandy
yes.
plus 7.5 in
Yeah.
Death Valley. I think LSU gets back on the winning track, but it's going to be sloppy. It's going to be sloppy. So we're gonna go Vandy plus 7.5 here, Jameson. So you're welcome, pal. I'm sticking to my guns there.
Good pick.
Yeah, Bobby, actually, it is a good pick. I'll say that. I think LSU, the struggle that we've seen throughout this entire season, and while they're on their little mini losing skid, can't defend the running quarterback. They cannot defend the dual threat ability of a quarterback. We saw it with Marcel Reed basically being able to reinvigorate Texas A&M's offense. You saw it with Bama, with Milroe, and it didn't happen last week because DJ Lightway was still banged up, not really running the ball as much, but still able to tear them apart. I think Diego Pavia is a step up from some of these guys when it comes to just playmaking ability, the passing ability, being there not necessarily as a pocket passer, but getting the ball to the right guy at the right time, his running ability, knowing when to tuck it and run. This is a veteran that knows how to do that. I think they go in there. I don't think they beat them at night, but I think they keep it pretty damn close. I'm the running quarterback aspect versus LSU just scares the hell out of me, and the reason why I would never bet this game in a million years, just because LSU does have the talent, but they seem to, if a quarterback can run the ball, they do not know what to do. I think Vanderbilt has some smart coaches on that squad to realize that. So I'm gonna go with the Commodores to cover at the 7.5. Similar to Bobby, think they win, but I think this one's gonna be damn close. I think we're going to see a meltdown in Baton Rouge come Sunday, just with Brian Kelly and what he's been able to deliver, considering the last few coaches being Ed O and Les Miles both won the national championship. So have fun with that one, LSU fans.
If LSU does find a way to lose, I would love to be the team playing them next. Ty, who do you like?
Nothing would make me happier than Vanderbilt winning and then OU just rolling into Baton Rouge and just getting pounded 70-0 for like no apparent reason. Just
he's on the hot seat until he puts up a 77-0 against OU, and then they give him an extension.
Just unleashing on them. They bring out 2 fake Tigers.
Yeah.
Ty.
They make Nussmeier look like Joe Burrow. Look, here's the deal. Vandy has had an amazing season, but you're telling me that I get Vanderbilt going to Death Valley for a night game at the end of the season, and LSU only has to win by 7.5. I thought the Ole Miss game would have taught y'all a lesson here. Go ahead and give me the Tigers minus 17.5. Easy. I'm still trying to figure out what they keep yelling all the time.
17.5. God bless.
Oh, sorry. A little slip there. I would take that. I'd take that all day. But go ahead and give me LSU minus 7.5. I have had fringe arguments before that we should be able to invent our own line for like extra wins. But
I tried to.
There's no way that we could come up with that.
Y'all didn't let me do my push.
We'll look at it.
That was a different thing. You just wanted 2 wins for the same line.
We'll get in the lab and look at it in the offseason. But all right.
We're going to invent the NFL kickoff of one. This one will be quick for me, so I'll just go ahead and drop this one. Go ahead and give me ASU as well.
No, okay, Gilly, let me do the run-in. It's the BYU Cougars, 9-1 overall, 7-3 against the spread, heading to Arizona State, take on the Sun Devils. So you got the Mormons versus the Devil. Love that. Arizona State is favored by 8. Arizona State is 8-2 overall and against the spread. BYU favored by 3 on the road. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ESPN. Ty, you said you like
watch this, Blake. Watch how the piggies squeal because this is nasty work. Go ahead and give me BYU minus 3.
Freaking kidding me! I'm gonna lose it.
BYU has had. Look, there's this whole thing, like people, the handful of ASU.
Wait. Can I pause real quick? Is this Arizona State or BYU favored?
BYU is favored, right? Like
I don't think so.
It's Arizona.
Wrong on that?
It's minus 3 Arizona State, guaranteed.
Holy crap!
Is that
Arizona State is
or?
minus 3? Guaranteed.
Yes, it is. I'm looking at
Arizona State is favored by 3. I am so wrong, guys. Sorry.
Wow.
Right.
Botched graphic.
Had a chance to
Did
get
I
an
do it,
easy
Blake?
line. I love how Jameson had a chance for an easy win. You get a line 6 points off, and he goes, Miss Teacher, did you collect the homework today?
This man, having not done his homework, just asked the teacher if she was going to collect homework.
That was absolutely Jameson. Absolutely was that guy in school, though.
I was not. No, I would get mad at
Absolutely.
kids in middle school. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
That's when it mattered.
Jameson had the opportunity for like the easiest plus EV play you could have possibly imagined, and he needs a win to say the least, and he just allowed that to get changed.
I want you to know, Jameson, that I actually knew that, and that's what triggered my initial ASU pick. But then I saw Bobby throw this line up here, and I slipped it. But you know what? I'm going to stick with. Well, Bobby's changing it.
What
I'm going to
are
stick.
we picking?
I'm going to stick. Well, let me.
ASU -3. I'm getting the graphic fixed.
We're picking the correct line, which
Yes.
is, as of recording, it's 8:08 on the 19th. I'm filibustering for Bobby to change, but I guess I don't have to wait.
Just pick your line.
It's fixed. Go.
I'm still picking BYU +3. Here's the deal. There's a bunch of ASU fans like selling their tickets, and ASU's coach has been on like the local news and everything else, literally begging people not to sell their tickets to BYU fans because BYU fans have like announced that they're coming down to Arizona in force. And when you have your head coach begging you not to have your home game in a way sellout crowd, that's not a good sign. So I see what the odds makers are seeing here in ASU. I certainly do, but I'm not seeing a whole lot of confidence that points out like BYU is not out of this fight. Like they might be, here's another reference Jameson's, I guess, not going to get, but they might be the knight from Monty Python who's got all his limbs cut off and saying it's just a flesh wound. Still trying to fight, but they've still got fight. So go ahead and give me BYU +3 at ASU.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a great game. Like this is where the passion, the anger comes from when I'm directing it towards the playoff committee. It is for games like this. Like the Big 12 is putting on a product. Like I will give the SEC its flowers this year. It has put on a great product because the league has kind of leveled out that there's no elite team like a Georgia and Alabama running it, and any team can beat any team on a given weekend. And I think that's a very positive thing for the league. But what's being spun as a positive thing for the SEC is the biggest negative to the Big 12, which is just absolutely insane that we're putting on one of the best TV products. One that I will remind you this week, the ESPN and TNT traded Inside the NBA, the best pre-game, post-game, halftime show in the entire planet. It is even regarded for that people that don't even watch sports love it, for just 12 Big 12 football games and like 13 Big 12 basketball games. That shows you the value of this league. That shows you the value of this programming. This is a fantastic league. But when I see that Kenny Dillingham is the coach on ASU sidelines, I see that Cam Scatterbo is playing, and I see that Sam Levitt is the quarterback, there is no way I'm going against ASU this year. Absolutely not. This team is so well coached. I love them. I love them. Give me ASU -3. I would have honestly taken it ASU, or of course I would have taken it ASU +3, I guess, but I'm taking it anyway. I'm taking alt lines. I love this ASU team, so give me them.
Yeah, Blake, I'm with you too. And it's really baffling looking at Arizona State. Like the two losses being at Cincinnati and at Texas Tech, too, like very beatable, weird teams. Like, I don't know, just kind of funny. It's a weird conference, and that's kind of why it's being held back. It's the better teams just lose to dumb teams. Besides the point, though, I think Arizona State, Dillingham's building something special. Definitely get ties, make sure they look like they send a picture of an Arizona State hat so you can give them your tickets. Like that plea is sad, but that's it, the momentum in the desert is significant. What he's building over there is special. I do believe in that. I'm gonna go Arizona State -3. BYU, I think it's a bit shaken after last week, and I don't know. I don't see him rebounding.
Yeah, I agree. Arizona State -3 at home. BYU in Provo, they burst. You'd think, oh, late game, Provo, momentum, that's them, but they burst last week. So unfortunately, this kind of treasure season that everyone was promising from BYU, I think that going into Tempe is going to be too tough of a task. So give me Arizona State -3.
Yep. All right.
So wait, what is Tweedledee and Tweedledumbass on the back end of this podcast trying to do in order to catch up? Like, y'all are choosing the same, y'all are choosing different, y'all people are trying everywhere to stay in your current positions. I don't get it.
I mean, like,
Jameson has been zigging and zagging. And
those little.
This is the game that he has to be principled on, that he can't go against. And Bobby, who, like, I can't tell if he doesn't want to be the last or doesn't want to be second. I don't know what he wants to be.
I just like Arizona State. Well, Jameson and I are like, on the railroad, where we have the two people doing the little seesaw thing, trying to scoot on by. That's us, and y'all are like an actual train. Like not that fast of a train, just a normal train, and we're on our little seesaw thing.
Yeah, you might be confused by my strategy, but is that what I want you guys to think?
I don't care about you. I don't thought about you.
Looks like you're last. I don't even think about you.
Like, I'm just rooting for you to lose a few more, so you're 30 behind. You're 30 behind 500.
Oh.
Like, that is the ultimate. You would have made somebody a whole lot of money if they would have faded you. A whole lot of money.
Just fading.
I like to think that somewhere out there, like some Hong Kong sports bettor has noticed this, and there's a bot out there that listens to the podcast and auto fades Jameson.
They heard about Jameson's hubris with his 3 TVs and just decided from that moment on, like, we fade this guy's picks.
Oh my goodness.
And we're gonna buy ourselves
in Shanghai.
Some guy's gonna be like, I bought myself 300 TVs by fading you.
Yeah. People are on WeChat right now just hyping your picks up.
That sounds pretty nice. Imagine 300 TVs.
I hope they're watching. The little StreamYard counter isn't counting WeChat or whatever's out there. But
we need to start streaming live on WeChat. We'll get Jameson to memorize some Chinese and do like the John Cena.
I know how to sing. I know how to sing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" in Chinese. I had to sing it in front of the school in 6th grade with my class.
Can you do it? Do you still have it in there?
I think I got something. It was like,
you know what?
I don't know how
I gotta
close
say
I am.
We're off the rails. We're off the rails, so I'm gonna say it. You had to sing Chinese in front of your school in 6th grade.
Correct. And
Obama was the president. We're in 6th grade.
Oh no! All right, our next game is the Ole Miss Rebels.
I'm pretty sure that's it. Ni hao, Washio Jameson. I'm pretty sure that's the beginning of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. I'm sure. I'm like being very truthful here.
The Ole Miss Rebels, who are 8-2 overall, 7-3 against the spread. Heading to the swamp to take on the Florida Gators, who are 5-5, 6-4 against the spread. Ole Miss favored by 10.5 here. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. I'm sorry to move it along, guys. I didn't want anyone to think we were spreading any propaganda or anything.
Oh my God, I got it.
God.
I actually had it correct.
Oh, you did? Did you double checked yourself?
Yes, I wanted to make sure I was saying the right things.
Oh my gosh,
man,
incredible.
I still know this.
Incredible. Okay, Ole Miss favored by 10. Ole Miss favored by 10.5. Who do you like, Jameson?
Oh, I got distracted. 1 sec. Where are we at? Florida? Ole Miss? Yikes.
Private chat, man. What? You got to stop doing this mid pod. Jameson, who do you like?
Gators. Give me the Gators.
I can't believe I'm saying this, and I for real was going to pick them the entire way. But I think this Florida team with DJ Lagway, once they get Lagway going, I'm a believer, man. I was so off them last week.
Somebody help me.
They have a bit of momentum, and they're at home. I think Ole Miss, not a very good team away from Oxford. They're all right. I feel like this is a place where they kind of get stuck in the mud. Give me Lagway, the Gators, to cover 10.5. I don't think it's a win, but I could see a little cheeky backdoor cover here from the Gators.
Y'all suck. Y'all suck just stealing my bits from the entire year to do whatever. I don't even know what
It's not a bit. It's a good
Am I about to go on an island for Ole Miss here?
I think you might be, because these two fools at the back are hedging. I don't know what. I don't get what they're trying to do. They have invented some new strategy to like supplant themselves at the exact positions where they're at. while like also trying to move up. This is horrendous picking from the back two, especially when they both know they can at least on 50% of their picks choose what the other person is not, and they're still just lockstep and key. I'm choosing Florida. Like I don't what are you trying to do, Bobby? You want to try to catch me?
I'm just trying to pick. Blake. We're trying to redistribute the wins.
Bobby's trying to pick, knowing he has to catch me and knowing where I sit on this game. Like, there's been some very obvious games this entire slate. You know exactly where I'm going to land. And Bobby is just, I don't know, just asleep at the wheel. This one's classic Florida. I told you, Sunbelt Billy gets them the bowl game. They could get it a week early here. Could upset them. I'm telling you, I've been on Sunbelt Billy this entire season. I told you they're not as bad as people think. A 7-5 season would be 7-5 season. I know he's staying. Could get him extended.
7-5 with this like schedule. I mean, shoot, put them in the playoff.
Yeah, honestly, with this committee, like they have so many quality losses and so many quality wins because they're SEC wins. It's insane. But yep, I gotta go Florida here. I just feel like Ole Miss they're meant to be they're nipping on the heels of the elite teams, but they allow these bad teams just to sink them back into the mud. We saw it against Kentucky earlier this year. I think a similar thing could happen. So give me Florida.
Yeah, look, I'll keep it brief on this one. This one is just don't overthink it. We're at the end of the season. I'm not saying you should be coasting, but you got to take the high percentage shots when you get them. That is what this is for me. Give me the Rebs minus 10.5. Understand they're at Florida. Understand Florida, maybe better than they look based on their record because of their schedule. But I think the Rebs in this one are one that you don't have to overthink too much. 10.5, a little high, got the hook, but give me the Rebs.
All right, moving on to our last pick of the main slate. It's the home finale for the Oklahoma Sooners. We're hosting the Alabama Crimson Tide. 8-2 overall, 6-4 against the spread. They're heading to Norman to take on the Sooners for the first time since 2002. OU 5-5 overall against the spread. You need one more
first time
win.
versus Bama since 2000.
In Norman.
Okay.
They're heading to Norman for the first time since 2002.
Sugar Bolt and I are Bobby.
Oh boy. Anyways, OU 5-5 overall against the spread. Alabama favored by 13.5 here. On the road. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Ty, I know you've had some spicy takes about this game in the weeks leading up to this. I'm sure I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say.
Let me ask you guys this. In a total vacuum, without air pressure, obviously, with just gravity, what falls faster, a feather or a bowling ball? If the feather is being dropped from 100 feet and the bowling ball is being dropped from 1 foot. That is the situation that we have here. We have two atrocious coaches.
Pardon?
One took over the greatest program potentially in the history of college football, like the institution that is modern Alabama football. That is, what are you talking about? They've had some good wins. They're 8-2 this year. Yeah, because he just took over Nick Saban's program. They're falling from a much greater height than Venables, who also took over a fully functional program. I understand people are going to say this is a wild take, but history will smile on my actions here today. Kalen DeBall is the only coach in the SEC who is worse than Brent Venables at being a head coach. And it might take 2 years to prove that fact. It might take 5 years to prove that fact. It will be proven. He will not leave on his own terms from Tuscaloosa. And I'm sympathetic to Alabama. I pray that day is soon. It's sad to see what Saban's house is being turned into. OU is going to win this football game. Go ahead and give me OU. Nothing would make me happier. There's
You
no
did it.
conceivable world where this occurs, but nothing would make me happier than OU winning this football game and then post game firing Brent Venables, and all will be right in the world. That's not going to happen. I can only pick one for right now. We're taking OU wins.
Wow,
fans-
I thought you're gonna fade. I thought you've been hyping it up that Oklahoma.
No, I've been saying this all season.
Whole season, yeah. I thought you're gonna shift, but you didn't.
But for the sake of the pod, give me OU plus 13.5.
Good for you.
How that's
Good
going to
for you.
occur, I have no idea.
But it's the bet take still. Okay. Blake.
Ty is a loyal man. Ty is a good guy. I am not. I think Venables is a horrible coach. It got cemented today when I saw the comments about whoever 5-star lineman that committed to y'all acting like you're some big boy program that you could take whoever you want. If a guy hasn't committed yet, we can call him out. No, you can't. Y'all are on the verge of irrelevancy at this point. It could get bad in Norman depending on how long they keep Venables running it like Clemson with zero success. This is a bad thing to see. Alabama rolls. Alabama kills y'all. A competent offense with a good quarterback in Jalen Milroe with some good legs. A defense not as good, but all I've heard this entire season is about how OU's defense is so elite. Can't keep y'all in games when you have no offense. Just absolutely cannot. Don't care if a bye week happened. You got some rest. Does not matter to me. It's Alabama's going to roll, and they're going to roll heavy. I feel bad about this one. I actually wish OU could win, but I'm off of them. I'm off of them after the Mizzou loss. Like that's program burning type of loss that I think you clean house after that one. So
I think that's fair. Because here's the thing: OU can do everything right up until a point, and they'll just give it away, and it's all ruined. And how can
14 points in 30 seconds? Like 14 points in 30 seconds.
How can you trust a team like that? Ever. At any point. Especially against a team as good as Alabama. This defense is good. I think we're going to have moments where this game is close. I think the defense is good enough to have periods of time where this is close. But there's no way I don't expect Jackson Arnold, who's going to start, or Michael Hawkins to play a perfect game, to not turn the ball over, and to not just completely screw it up for the defense. Maybe there's a world where you channel your inner Diego Pavia and hold on to the ball for as long as possible and just kind of grind them out and keep this thing close and cover. But I just feel like even in that scenario, you are 2 snaps in a row away from everything going to hell in a handbasket. And I cannot trust that OU offense. There aren't any levers to pull. I guess you just run Xavier Robinson, run Javonte Barnes, just try to do a slow grind situation and see where that takes you. That's kind of your best option at this point. But if you put the ball in Jackson Arnold's hands or Michael Hawkins' hands, they're going to turn the ball over and screw it up for you at some point. They're a ticking time bomb. This team the offense is cooked right now. I think you actually have a better chance against LSU maybe next week. If you flip the sights between this game and,
I think
LSU.
it's a very, very obvious saying that LSU is an easier opponent in Baton Rouge than Alabama and Norman.
And I think that goes to say just how bad I feel about LSU as in general. And I think this Alabama team is hitting a stride, and they are pretty damn good. So I think Alabama wins, and I think they cover for 13.5. And the sad thing is, I feel like this is going to be a close game until like the fourth quarter, and then it collapses.
Do you know the spread right now for LSU Oklahoma? Any guesses?
Let's
it's
go
probably just
LSU by
the
7.
preseason one, right?
LSU minus 5.5.
Oh,
What?
Hmm.
I gotta
that'll-
say is I would take Vanderbilt on a neutral field versus this Oklahoma team right now.
So honestly, go put
That's
pre-money.
not
Go
crazy.
a good bet. would honestly to go put money on the LSU side right now because I doubt that it's going to stay 5.5. I bet you it's going to balloon up.
Whatever you like, Brian Kelly can be a not good coach sometimes, but he's overall a decent coach. Brent Venables is not that. Brent Venables is nowhere close to being that.
Yeah. But all things considered, Bobby, I understand everything that you said about Oklahoma and the turnovers and whatnot. The way it ended versus Missouri left a really sour taste in all of our mouths. And I know that the football team, the locker room feels like that too. But this is the last home game. And you've got big time leaders on the defense and Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman, their last time in this building. And they are such high character guys that I think they can get the defense going and lead a charge.
Womp womp! Like,
This game close.
Oh my god.
I think that they can really put the fight to this Alabama offense and at least give us some chances to keep it within 13. I don't think Oklahoma wins it, but give me the cover of Oklahoma plus 13.5.
They're gonna cover through character.
I just the fact that he brought in his little gamesmanship argument with the team is gonna rally behind like some senior day with whoever, like two high character guys that have gotten them. Like, it's nice to have those high character guys. This OU team sucks though.
Like they haven't been trying to emotionally dig themselves out of the hole the past, I don't know, 9 weeks.
I believe.
Okay. No, you believe in whatever gives you a chance to get close. That's fair.
I don't know what you guys are saying.
No.
I'm picking Oklahoma.
Y'all's strategy has shown you don't believe in what can actually get you close. To even like sniffing this.
I don't know. Anyways, it's time for our favorite pick of the week.
The brakes working. Because I cut the brakes. Wild card, bitches.
It's time for our wild card picks, where we get to pick our favorite game, not on the college football our college football pick'em slate. A little shift up in the standings here. Bowden, Blake, and Ty are now tied at 8-5. Jameson sitting at third at 6-7, and I'm last at 4-9. I am mathematically like locked into at least tie for last, so that's just terrific. Ty, what's up?
Shouldn't I be in the lead? I hit my Oregon.
Okay, so I didn't think we're counting those as wild cards.
Separate.
Yes, those are. That was like the week 1 wild card pick.
Yeah,
I agree with Ty here.
We said that week 0.
Oh,
that is true.
And there were a week or so ago, they were counted in the wild card picks because I was asking why I had one less game than everyone else.
Were they?
Like 2 or 3 weeks
I'll go
ago.
back and
yeah.
I'll go back and work
I do
on
agree
it.
with Ty. They should be. They were our week 0 wild card. Since there was no wild card on the slate, we chose it, so it should count.
Well, thank you. Apologies. I'll get it sorted. Anyways, Jameson, who do you like?
So I've got to go in. I was originally going to pick something really freaking dirty. I was thinking about picking Citadel plus 50.5 versus Clemson just to feel something. But then I realized, no. I've got to look at this slate and find something on here that maybe Bobby would like to pick and then pick that and then put him in a tizzy. Because you cannot pick the exact same. You can go against it, correct?
Wait, what?
No, there has never been a formal rule that you cannot pick the exact same.
Yeah.
You can absolutely go opposite.
No, but can you pick the same?
Yes.
No.
You can't.
I disagree with you, Ty.
It's an unsung rule that you don't do.
It's like a gentlemanly,
Yes.
It means I get to drive to your hometown and like pelt you with a pitch, like in baseball. Like if you break one of the unbroken rules, like I get to throw a fastball at you, type of thing.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm looking and I'm like, in the brain of Bobby, I didn't think he would pick this as an honorary fan, but I think that maybe he would like this. Texas Tech going to Stillwater as a 3.5 point favorite. My God, this Oklahoma State team is just giving up. I don't know if this is Bobby's pick, but I thought that maybe there might be a chance. So give me Texas Tech -3.5. Who's their quarterback again, Blake? I forgot.
Baron Morton.
Baron Morton. They're damn right.
Tanked his season. Like, he was up on all of his rivals before he had to play them, and then lost to Baylor, lost to TCU, and now they have a worse season than somehow both the programs that wanted to fire their coach a few weeks ago.
Well, let me tell you something. Baron Morton's going to go into Stillwater and just wallop them. Like, it's not like, oh, they're in Stillwater, they'll be okay. This team isn't going to make a bowl. Their coach is completely off the rails. And also, it's not like Stillwater has done them any good. Like, they lost by 21 to Arizona State when they were there. So, like, it's all is out the door. I don't see why it's only 3.5 with this Texas Tech team.
I think that's a fair pick. And Jameson,
love it.
Look,
you like the pick?
Yeah, gamesmanship solid. And there's only one way to guarantee like that one of us goes down, and that's by hitching my wagon to the opposite of yours.
Really?
Give me Oklahoma State. Give me Oklahoma State +3.5.
Oh, do you actually believe in this?
I kind of think that there might be a little bit. I just don't see a world where they go winless in conference.
These women having a mid off. That is these two. These two at the back end of the caboose.
Bobby, you're picking Oklahoma State against me? Are you trying to get last place?
Look, I actually think that the Texas Tech -3.5 play is really good. I like the
what's going. Okay, now Blake, I was joking around earlier with you, not knowing what Bobby was doing. But I was like, okay, we're just playing around. I truly don't understand what he's doing.
I don't know. Bobby,
because here's my thing. I think that's probably a hit, right? But so, like, here's the thing. That's
the fact that he's looking at him.
No, just hear me out. I think Texas Tech probably hits, right? So I think that's so. In most cases, I think Texas Tech -3.5 that hits. You win, game over. But in that sliver of reality where it doesn't. That means that not only one do I get a point, but you go down one, and I crawl back to fight my way to some sort of like redemption next week. So I'm gonna go Oklahoma State +3.5. I don't know. My brain's in a pretzel here, but we're gonna figure it out.
Wow, this man is a genius. Please give him his roses, Blake.
So it is important to note that we also have a punishment for last place in the wild card. So this is like there's two separate fights occurring here. Obviously, they play into the larger one.
He's gonna get the punishment either way. He's already guaranteed a loss, Todd.
But then, but if we tied Jameson, then you would also have to be punished.
Jameson, you also have a loss.
Yeah, but if you're tied for last, you're doing it either way.
Yeah, but then you would do it too.
Oh, this is why he was trying to include the postseason just randomly.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, that I agree with Ty.
I just thought it'd be fun. I didn't know everyone would be so just like stuck up about trying to add more games. I'm sorry.
Not in week 13 when you're in last.
Like, who's gonna change anything?
It would. Like, if Bobby was like, let's add a slate of potentially like 10, 11, 12 games, that could definitely shake up the slate. Ty has always been an expansionist when it comes to the weekend spread. I've been more of a absolutist where it stays at the regular season, but I can't agree. It is fishy. This is coming up around this time where Bobby was in a certain position where he could still move and shake a little bit, but I'm getting out of whatever this mess is on the right of my screen.
It sounds like you're scared.
No. Well, I'm not scared of whatever you two guys with, I don't even know what you're doing. You're just whacking each other with like, with sticks over there, just like over in the corner, battling out for, I don't even know what y'all are trying to do. There's no strategy. I can't even quantify what you're trying to do on this podcast tonight. You try to go strategic, then you try to band together, then you try to go strategic, then you try to fight one another. Like, the fight is over on the other side of your screen, not between each other. Like, y'all need to gain spots in the rankings, not just bring each other down. So, Ty, I cede the floor to you.
Okay. First off, just real quick, I'll let Blake get back to his pick, but Blake is on a pretty high horse for someone who's also below 500.
It's been a bad season, but I at least like at strategic points, I'm going against Ty to potentially give myself a chance to catch up on it, and like, but these guys over here are just fighting each other. Like they would rather just drag each other down than actually try to rise up the ranks. I don't get it. It's like they're in the Batman pit that they have to get out of, but anytime one gets close to the top, they jump on the other and bring him back down. Like they just won't allow each other to like escape from the bottom. Like it's so sad. It's so sad. They love to just bring each other down, which brings me to my pick. Give me Colorado State +3
Oh,
Fresno State. One of the unsung storylines of the season. I'm repping the Colorado State hoodie today. Or Colorado State's undefeated in conference play. Like they are right now on the fast track to play Boise State in the Mountain West Conference Championship, which is very sad. UNLV's the better team, but they had to play Boise State, which is unfortunate. But look, I think this is just built. This season is built for ultimate torment for me. Bad TCU team, Shield getting no love, UNLV getting disrespected. I just have a feeling in my bones that this is going to happen. So I'm going to take Colorado State to like effectively put the end to UNLV's chances of making the Mountain West Championship. Yeah, they're gonna destroy little Mikey Keene.
I cannot wait till Mikey Keene just wallops this team.
Fresno State has just been limping. I don't get that line, so I'm gonna take Colorado State.
I might bet real money on Fresno State.
Okay, you should, Mr. 40 and 70.
Ty, who do you like?
Look, here's the thing. Sometimes you got to revert to evil on the podcast. Jameson just did it a second ago by picking Texas Tech, which isn't necessarily like a bad pick, but it's kind of like saying, it's kind of like having to go to court and being like, oh, well, Your Honor, I resorted to crime because I'm trying to feed my family, but you're in court because you were doing like recreational arson. That's what picking Texas Tech is like here. Like it's evil and it doesn't necessarily
3 times
help
this year.
Yes, and it's been evil every time. And
It has.
This one did help you. I don't know what in the world Bobby was doing. He's never going to beat the sleeper agent allegations with that pick right now.
I think that was the first time I picked OSU all season.
It was. Yeah, you've been fading him. I think that's what threw Jameson off so much.
Yeah. Also, I will say, I'm just fading people who have, bad picks. Jameson has bad picks. I also have bad picks. But if I fade someone,
you've also been fading yourself somehow.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
The one picks Jameson hasn't been like that bad in his wild card, and he faded him in that.
It's still 6-7.
Yeah, I've been on a losing streak though. I was 6-4.
But 4-9, Bobby, 4-9.
I know. That's why I can't trust myself anymore. I have to resort to fading others.
Hey, a 4-9 record with OU's schedule means that you should keep your coach. So it's a hard schedule. So
Jesus, Ty, who do you like?
Look, back to what I was saying. What is stankier? What's more evil than hitching your wagon to Lincoln Riley and USC?
Oh no,
they are playing. Listen to me. In-state, in-city rivalry game. They're playing UCLA this weekend, and USC is stanky, but UCLA is mega stanky. UCLA got really.
UCLA got
good. They have 4 wins.
They got a lot better. Like they're not good, but they got a lot better.
They just beat Iowa.
UCLA is good because they beat Nebraska by 7 points. They beat Rutgers by 3 points. That makes them good.
God, the Big
USC beat Nebraska by 8 points.
The Big Ten is so stinky.
Let him pick. Let him cook.
You tell me I get okay. Well, yeah. I now looking at USC's schedule, things do not look great. I will say that, but 4.5 points. Lincoln Riley seat kind of getting hotter at USC potentially. I think not potentially, like it just straight up is. But this is one of those, right? I think it's one of those terrible situations where these coaches that are on the hot seat, like Brian Kelly, for example, like we were talking about earlier, put all the bits aside. He has some games at the end of his season that he can latch onto that carry him into, keeping that contract and sort of reversing the narrative, because you get that recency bias kick for the entire offseason on your last couple of games. And Lincoln Riley, I think, has been able to dial up some good games in his career. Has he been able to dial up some complete good games in his career? I don't think there's any evidence to support that, but circumstantially, we could say that maybe he's dialed up some good complete games in his career. But I just like 4.5 points in a game where people are going to care a little bit. Like they might have double-digit fans at this one, which would be big for both of these teams. And Lincoln Riley can get a win against his rivals. Potentially that's in his contract that he gets a little kicker from that, and retain his job and sort of start to shift the narrative a little bit. I understand, UCLA changing their trajectory, had a crazy situation, but I cannot bet on a head coach who goes up there and his fun fact about his football team is that they play football. Like you shouldn't have to tell people that. Like if you got to tell people, it's like a nickname, right? Like if you have to go tell people like this is what they call me, that's not your nickname. That's not. So give me the Trojans minus 4.5.
Okay. Hey, he also, like when he's talking about UCLA, is like we play in LA or rivals USC. I like it. He's only focused on football. So, all right. Well, that's all we have for this slate of picks, boys. This was the penultimate. We have one more round of regular season football in week 14, and then it's time for conference championship week, and then we're done with the weekend spread for the year. But pretty good season, all things. I mean, bad season of picking, good season of fun. I've had fun.
No, this season, I will say, like taking the rankings out it, like taking that like out of it, it's been an awesome season. Like the Big 12 has been a great conference race. The SEC has been a fantastic conference race that we have never really seen before, ever. It's usually somebody separates, but these teams are all kind of similar. The Big 10 is boring, but I think will give us another banger of Oregon, Ohio State, because that was honestly probably a game of the year type consideration. And the ACC just kind of sucks. Like they're lifeless and soulless, but they will be gone soon enough. So
fair enough. Yeah. Good. It's been fun. Been a fun season. But yeah, week 14, got it. I'm gonna have to reevaluate this. This is a lot of kind of crappy rivalry games that looked really good on paper a couple weeks ago. Texas A&M, Texas. That's gonna be great. That's gonna be
yes, that is because that determines the fate of two teams. Like if Texas A&M obviously take care of business versus Auburn this week, if they win that, they're in the playoff. Texas wins it, they're probably in the playoff. If Texas A&M wins it and Texas loses it, Texas is probably still in for God knows why, but that's kind of how these things work.
Yeah, guess so. Well, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this episode, make sure to like it on YouTube, subscribe to our channel for more. We'll be back to recap the OU Alabama game on Sunday, and then back for weekend spread next week as well. I'm not sure yet. We'll talk about it with holiday schedules and stuff. But anyways, for me, Jameson, Ty, and Bowden Blake, this has been the weekend spread. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you all next time. Good luck out there, everyone.